or run in a recall election.
And 3 victims are in stable but guarded condition tonight following an explosion in southwest Phoenix. I'm Becky Oliver. I'll have a live report.
And I'm Alfonso Duran. A big crowd turns out to protest 976 scoop line numbers and the pornographic messages some of them contain. Those stories and more ahead on NewsCenter 10 at 6.
And Montgomery with sports and the team from NewsCenter 10.
Good evening. 3 people were taken to the hospital following an explosion at a West Phoenix warehouse.
The explosion occurred late this afternoon, and our Becky Oliver is on the scene now. Becky, what happened? Well, we are at Architectural Metal Finishing, which is a plating plant here in southwest Phoenix. We're told that late this afternoon, witnesses heard an explosion, which was followed by several mini explosions. When fire officials arrived at the scene, they found 4 people inside, 3 suffering from critical burns over most of their bodies. Now, those victims were taken to the Maricopa County Burn Unit while investigators try to determine what happened.
We don't know exactly what caused the explosion. They had a fuse blow in the panel earlier in the afternoon. The 3 men that were checking the panel were right in front of the panel. Apparently, they restored power to it after doing whatever work they did to it. There was one of them reported to our medics that there was arc and then an explosion.
Now, Jensen says the hazardous materials team was brought out to investigate because there are large sulfuric acid tanks inside this plant, but we are told that there was no damage to any of those tanks. Investigators say the power and the gas has been turned off at this hour, and it appears that the scene has been stabilized. Thank you, Becky.
19-year-old Jamie Goldman is listed in fair condition at Scottsdale Memorial Hospital this evening after having her frostbitten feet amputated last night. Goldman suffered frostbite while stranded in the snow near Springerville for 10 days. Her legs were amputated some 5 inches below the knees last night. Her doctor says that she was immediately fitted with prosthetic limbs so that she could be walking within a week.
We'll actually be planning on her actually getting up and walking and weight-bearing probably early next week, and really the only limits in her case are just because she's been bedridden for so long, her muscle strength is weakened, and we have to build up her upper body strength a little bit so she can support herself on the parallel bars in therapy.
Goldman's friend, 19-year-old or 18-year-old Lisa Barzano, left the hospital last week, but she could still lose some parts of the tissue of about 3 frostbitten toes.
Secretary of State Rose Mofford personally delivered a letter to Governor Mecham today. That letter calls for Mecham to resign by Saturday or face a recall election. After leaving the governor's office, Mofford said delivering the letter was one of the most difficult things she's had to do as a public official.
When I've worked with 12 of the 17 governors, and this is the first time in my life I've ever had to do anything like this.
Kind of emotional for you?
Yes. Regardless of who would be up on this floor, it would be emotional, or any other public official that would be being recalled. I'd feel the same way. Because I feel like that everybody in state government is part of my family. I've been here so long.
If Governor Mecham does resign, Mofford would become governor. However, Mecham has said repeatedly that he will not step down. The House committee considering the impeachment of Governor Mecham meets again in less than an hour. Tonight, they'll shift their focus to a $350,000 campaign loan the governor received in late 1986.
John Kane is covering the hearings for Channel 10, and he's live at the Capitol with a preview.
In some respects, the committee is going back to the beginning. Last October, there was a story in the Arizona Republic saying the governor had received a $350,000 campaign loan from Tempe lawyer Barry Wolfson, but the governor had failed to properly list the loan on his campaign finance disclosure statements. That story, that newspaper story, led the House to launch an impeachment investigation. Tonight, the committee will pick up where it left off last night. The committee will hear again from House investigator Bill Woods. Woods did much of the legwork for the French report. We expect Woods will testify about the paper trail that supports the charge that the governor tried to hide the loan. Also testifying tonight will be State Elections Director Jim Shumway. We expect Shumway will testify about the procedure for reporting campaign loans. Shumway is in a somewhat unusual position because his boss is Rose Mofford, Secretary of State, and Mofford would become governor if Governor Mecham is removed from office. Now, tonight's hearing starts at 7 o'clock, Bill and Claren, and we'll have details on NewsCenter 10 p.m.
Thank you, John. Coming up next, those 976 numbers, some contain pornographic messages at the touch of a dial.
And some Arizonans want the telephone company to pull the plug on those controversial numbers. We'll hear from both sides next. Should the State Corporation Commission pull the plug on 976 numbers, the so-called scoop lines? Well, some scoop lines offer legitimate services, such as sports or automobile information.
But others offer sexually explicit conversations, even available to minors. As Alfonso Duran reports, Arizonans concerned about these pornographic scoop lines turned out in force at a public hearing today.
Well, 976, scoop line, dial-a-porn, they are telephone services with different names, but they are causing the same result. A major headache for thousands of Valley parents and for a few legitimate business people.
I'm here talking to you on the phone, and the only thing on my mind is sex. Call Chastity at 1-976.
There are more than 100 scoop line services available in the Valley, and many of them deal with explicit sex. Today, these angry parents and anti-pornography groups tried to pull the plug on those services. Some complained to state corporation commissioners that their children had run up hundreds of dollars calling the 976 dial-a-porn numbers. But most complained about the possible devastating effect on the children.
Dial-a-porn includes descriptions of normal and perverse sex, with themes of bestiality and rape and bondage, incest, torture, group sex, and sex between adults and children.
And I think we have an obligation as parents, as responsible citizens, to guard the minors.
This Phoenix woman says someone broke into her home and made these type of calls, which totaled several $100s.
Why in God's name should we have to pay for trash that we do not subscribe for over a telephone?
Most everyone here pleaded with corporation commissioners to do away with the 976 numbers completely. But some argued that wouldn't be fair to the services not offering sex talk.
Single Line and Single Line Plus offers personal ads placed by single people, which are then called and then heard by other single people.
And this Phoenix woman, who admits she provides sex talk, says she runs a clean business.
I am not a prostitute. This is my job, just like your job. So we do not talk to anybody under 21. We hang up on them, or we tell them, give them a chat line number.
Well, in the middle of all this, of course, is the company providing these services, and that's Mountain Bell. Company officials were supposed to be part of today's hearing, but they asked for a postponement in order to prepare their case. So that has been postponed until Tuesday, February 9th. Now, one of the things the commission will be looking into then is the possibility of fraud, the misrepresentation of charges involved when making these type of calls. Steve Kraft has more on that in his Contact 10 report.
We get complaints here at Contact 10 from people who dial 976 numbers and then they're shocked when they get the phone bill. Now, most recently, we got a complaint about the free product hotline, which illustrates the issue very well. Now, this one starts, this hotline, with a phone call to you with this message. If you can answer this question, then you can call a certain 976 number and maybe win a prize. One of those calls went to Jim Thompson of Mesa.
Well, it was December the 30th. I was sitting at home, my wife and I, and the phone rang, and I hear this message, or this person say, "This is Hollywood calling. If you can answer a quick question, you'll be well on your way to winning a trip to Hawaii."
The question was, who is the woman who co-hosts Mr. Thompson had the answer.
I guess everyone knows Vanna White. So.
Having answered correctly, Mr. Thompson says he was told he qualified to win the free trip, and he was invited to call 976-2274 for more information. He called and heard a 2.5-minute taped message on the trip and other prize offers.
And then they finished it off by saying there's a $2 and some cent charge per minute. And the next thing I know, I get a telephone bill for $8.91.
Thompson says it was unfair to find out the price of the call after listening to the entire taped message. According to Mountain Bell, the free product hotline belongs to a company in Mesa named American Teleprogramming. Company officials would not grant us an interview. But they did tell us that only 1% of callers to the hotline complain about the price, and that all hotline callers are told up front that there is a charge, and in fact, that the $2.97 charge per minute is stated at the beginning of the taped message. Now, that price is at the start of the taped message now, but company officials did tell me that it was at the end of the tape, as Mr. Thompson claimed, when he called December 30th. It has been moved to the front of the message. And the company says it is willing to resolve complaints, the free product hotline. Now, what if you don't want any 976 calls dialed from your house? Well, if you contact 10 at 263-8856 or 1-800-352-3792, we'll tell you how you can exclude 976 dialing from your phone for free. The bottom line on this, of course, is anything with a 976 prefix is going to cost some money. Beware.
Watch out for those numbers.
That's right.
Thank you, Steve.
Still to come, an endangered species gets a new lease on life thanks to the people of the Phoenix Zoo.
And up next, Rick D'Amico is actually talking about 80-degree temperatures in its forecast.
That's right, Claire and Bill. When we return, I'll be talking about 80-degree temperatures and how long this warming trend will last. Coming up next on NewsCenter 10 at 6.
Rick D'Amico's weathercasting is certified by the National Weather Association. You're watching NewsCenter 10 on KTSP-TV.
I wear a wool suit on one of the hottest days so far this year.
Well, it looks nice on you.
Oh, thanks.
Very nice.
It's warm.
We have the fans cranked
80
up here.
degrees.
We're going to talk about 80
Are you all right?
No, I'm fine. We're going
You wearing a
I'm wearing a, this is a light summer weight suit. We're going to talk about 80 degrees. It doesn't mean that we're going to have 80 degrees. We're going to talk about it coming up. Let's review the statistics today. Now look at the high for the day today, 78. Well, that's close to 80, isn't it? Low this morning, 43. Normals are 66 and 40. The record's 81 and 26. Temperature now 73. Wind south at 4. Relative humidity 18%. Dew point temperature 27. 9/10 of an inch of rainfall for the year. Barometer 30 and 15/100 of an inch and steady. Air quality, carbon monoxide is in the moderate range at 86. And ozone in the good range at 32. And particulates in the moderate range at 68. The jet stream creating a ridge of high pressure over the southwestern part of the country and warming up here in Arizona. Temperatures will be close to 80 degrees here in the valley for tomorrow and the following day. And then we expect this jet just to drop a little bit and probably bring some stormy weather into the northern part of Arizona for Friday and some high clouds in the valley here for Friday. And then after that, temperatures dropping all the way down to the low 70s for a couple of days after that. So really the cooling trend that happens this weekend isn't really all that bad. Very cold air going right down to the Gulf of Mexico. We'll take this satellite picture and we'll put it in motion and review the last 8 hours or so. And you can see how the jet is creating this ridge of high pressure over the west, but yet the trough is bringing very cold air right down into the Gulf of Mexico. The big storm system that went through the Great Lakes yesterday is now up over the Bay of Fundy. We had some snow today across New York State and into Maine. Also, parts of Pennsylvania, the Laurel Mountains today. I think that's where they make Rolling Rock beer. I'm not sure, but I think you people from Pennsylvania would be familiar with that. They had 4 to 8 inches there today. The big weather news today, the high temperatures across the nation. Let me step out of the way here, let you get a chance to look at some of these highs. Look at that, 4 degrees above zero in Minneapolis, St. Paul. 53 degrees in New Orleans. Southern Florida only got up into the 60s today. And here in the southwestern part of the country, temperatures in the 70s, 78 for the high today in our valley. Here are the forecast lows for tomorrow morning. Now, as far as valley lows are concerned, we will have some areas at or below freezing. Glendale will be at 32. Chandler and Chandler Heights at 32. Here are the highs for tomorrow afternoon, getting close to 80 degrees here in our valley. And there's the satellite picture again. Let's go right to our weather forecast. We are looking at a mostly clear night tonight with tonight's low in the mid-40s. And tomorrow, mostly sunny, increasing high clouds. Tomorrow's high 80. Thursday, some high clouds and a high of 80 degrees. I was kind of hoping that 5-day forecast would come up on that computer, and that would show temperatures dropping to the low 70s by Sunday. But
That's still
I'll take
nice.
it. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
We thank you. Go to the golfers. In sports, Shootout was the name of the game today at the Tournament Players Club golf course.
And Montgomery has highlights of that and all the other pre-Phoenix Open events. Day 2 of Phoenix Open Week brought out the long ball hitters and those brave enough to compete in the shootout. We'll have those stories and more for you next.
You're a golfer. Do you like to go out to where Ann is right now?
Oh, I'd love to watch, especially on the weekend. Things really get heated up. But I think it's a little nicer in the daytime. But there's a lot going on out here today. 17 long ball hitters got together for today's Pro Celebrity Long Distance competition. A PGA Tour veteran who's noted for his long drives would edge out last year's Phoenix Open winner for the top honors.
Dan Pohl is a two-time PGA distance driving champion, though he finished 11th in the driving distance category in 1987. But today, in the Pro Celebrity Long Distance competition, Pohl was #1. His first of two shots sailed 311 yards. The only one who came close was defending Phoenix Open champ Paul Azinger, who knocked his first shot 304 yards. Pohl, who says he can hammer a baseball pretty far as well, explained afterwards what it takes to be a heavy hitter.
Have good leg speed, use the hands and the legs in unison, and be able to have good hand-eye coordination to release the club right at the maximum point of power. And like I say, I'm not that big, but I create a lot of club head speed by using my legs effectively, and that's what I would say would be the key.
Pohl picked up $3,500 for winning the pro portion of the competition. Amateur winner who just got satisfaction for being #1 was Milwaukee Brewers outfielder Robin Yount. He hit one 273 yards. Right there is the winner of that's Curtis Strange, who won the shootout today. He said today that the course is in great shape.
It's been a fun 3.5 hours, whatever taken.
It's pretty much the same, I think. It's firm, fairways and the golf course in perfect shape. The greens are firm and fast, which we like, and so everything is perfect if we can just keep this weather.
Paul Azinger was a virtual unknown on the PGA Tour until last year. He won the Phoenix Open, his first tour victory, and then Azinger was off to the races. He won 2 more tournaments, lost the British Open by just 1 stroke, and earned $250,000. Now, he struggled near the end of last season, and he had a tough time last week at the Bob Hope Classic. Still, he says he's not going to change too much when he starts defending his Phoenix Open title on Thursday.
I'm not going to do anything different swing-wise. I could learn how to hit some more chip shots and stuff around the greens, and I'll work hard on that. But I'm just going to try to focus on what I need to focus on and keep my priorities straight and just see what happens.
Funny, he looks younger than he did last year. Tomorrow at the Tournament Players Club, we'll have the Silver Celebrity Pro-Am. Be looking for Bob Hope. He's playing in that. And the Desert Pro-Am will have all that right here from you tomorrow.
All right, Ann, is it a little chilly out there tonight?
It's not as bad as it was yesterday.
And you used to live in upstate New York where it's colder than it is here?
Yeah, but I'm sort of getting acclimated here. It still feels cold to me.
All right. Up next, a look at an endangered species.
That's not so endangered anymore, thanks to the people at the Phoenix Zoo. We'll explain next.
Deborah Pyburn-Brewer joins us from the update desk with a preview of NewsCenter 10 p.m.
She also has a look at the top world and national news.
Well, it's been a very busy day for our President Reagan. He was trying to sell his contra-aid package to congressional leaders today. He is asking for $36 million for the Nicaraguan rebels. He plans to have most of that money go for non-lethal aid. NASA has found yet another problem with the shuttle booster engine. An engineer spotted bad welds on a critical seal. Tonight on NewsCenter 10 p.m., the House Special Committee listens to more impeachment testimony. We'll have a live report on those hearings, which, of course, could lead to the impeachment of Governor Meekum. And I will have a Babies at Risk in my special assignment report called Special Delivery.
Also coming up in Health Watch, I'll have details on that first ever worldwide AIDS conference.
And we'll be watching. Did you know that one of the world's most successful wildlife conservation efforts was launched right here in the Salt River Valley? It was a program called Operation Oryx that began 25 years ago at the Phoenix Zoo. And today, it's going stronger than ever. Shelley Jameson has been covering that.
Well, Bill, Operation Oryx began at the Phoenix Zoo in 1963 with 9 Arabian oryxes and lots of hope. At that point, the world's population had dwindled to less than 30, and conservation groups decided it was high time to step in and save the dying species.
Come on, son. Come on, guys.
Today, there are 800 Arabian oryxes worldwide, thanks to the efforts of breeding programs like this one.
Phoenix zookeepers proudly announced the birth of their 198th Oryx on Sunday. It's a success story for a herd of animals once headed for extinction.
As long as the people were running around on horses and had old muskets, the Arabian Oryx was able to take care of itself, to elude destruction for a long time. But in the 20th century, with the advent of helicopters, jeeps, and high-powered rifles, the numbers began to turn alarmingly against it.
The Oryx was prized by Saudi Arabian hunters for its 3-foot-long horns, which were believed to enhance fertility. The animal's meat and hide often went to waste. And because the Oryx is a rare breed, zoogoers today often mistake it for a more common animal.
Typical reaction is, oh, look at the goat. And that tears our hearts out.
And even though the population of Arabian Oryxes has swelled to a safe number, zookeepers are anxiously awaiting the arrival of 6 more Oryxes due in the next couple of months. Conservation officials do not plan to reintroduce the Arabian Oryx into the wild anytime soon. They fear unregulated hunting would probably reduce their numbers too quickly.
Those critters, as nice and tame and friendly as they look.
Well, they look friendly, but that's just a front, Bill, because apparently they can be very feisty and aggressive. In fact, one former zookeeper has a scar on the back of his leg from an angry Oryx. So
Wow.
Better be careful.
They must butt like ghosts or something.
Something.
Aggressive. All right. Stay away from them. Don't get too close.
Okay.
Don't get too near.
Yes.
And that brings us right up to date on the news. So for the TV10 News team.
Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Team up with Contact 10. If you need help finding help, call Community Information and Referral in the Phoenix area, 263-8856.